is it possible for a horse to get too much protein in their diet? So I was actually really excited to see this question come through because I spent a lot of time on our customer care team, and this is definitely a question that gets asked a lot by customers.
Yeah, I know people are concerned about protein in horses, and it turns out that horses don't need much protein, but according to my favorite resource, you know what it is?
I can only imagine.
The NRC nutrient requirements of horses. They say not much evidence exists concerning the effect of excess protein consumption.
Okay.
Meaning that there's not a real problem with it. Like horses can tolerate a lot of more protein than they need.
There's no evidence supporting that too much is causing concern.
What happens if they get too much is protein is broken down by the body, specifically the liver, and then excreted through the kidneys as urine. And that breakdown produces a byproduct called urea, and urea needs water to flush it out. So if you feed your horse too much protein, they're going to drink more water and pee more. And so a lot of people say they smell, their stalls are wetter and they smell the ammonia. So that's one
downside,
negative con, I guess. Another is...
But that's not a major health issue.
No, no, it's just an annoyance.
Okay.
Yeah. Another is there is a little bit of evidence that feeding too much protein with horses that are exercising or working, it alters their acid-base balance, and that it might cause early fatigue. So that would be, again, not a health issue per se, but more of a performance issue.
Okay.
Yeah, and then because it's, quote, metabolically expensive to break down protein, meaning it takes a lot of work and energy by the body, it's possible that if you're feeding your horse more protein than he requires, that he's actually going to lose weight.
Interesting.
Yeah, and if it's a young horse, might not stunt the growth, but just result in a slower growth rate.
So because it takes the body so much energy to utilize the protein, therefore it could cause him to lose weight because he's exerting more than taking in?
Yeah, exactly. You're using energy or calories to break down the protein, and instead of using those calories for weight.
Interesting. I think that's going to get a lot of people
Yeah, I mean, there's not a... It's not, the evidence for that is not conclusive, confirmed, but it's pointing that way. Yeah, and it makes some sense. So the question I get asked a lot is, in feeding horses, if you feed horses too much protein, will it harm their liver or kidneys? Because that's where the work is being done to break it down. And the answer is no. If those organs are working fine, then that's great. That's their job, to break down protein and other constituents. If, however, the liver or kidneys are compromised, so their function is not 100%, now you shouldn't feed excess protein.
Okay.
So
if they're already having an issue with those organs, then you probably should be careful about how much protein.
Yeah, and so a simple blood test from your veterinarian can help you identify that. But that would be the only concern. If the organs that break down protein are compromised in any way, then they can't handle excess protein. But if they are fine, there's no reason to give, there's not a reason to give more. And there's not a lot of health reasons.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask you. Is there a time to feed more protein?
Well, the NRC, again, it lists out how much a horse needs. Adult horses in no work, adult horses in work, young horses growing, and young horses that are growing and working. That's lactating mares actually need the most. And so you should aim to feed the amount of protein they need, and not less or more. And when you're feeding protein, it's not actually the protein that you're feeding, it's amino acids, right? And so the first limiting amino acid is lysine. There is a value in the NRC for lysine. So that's really the target you should aim for. Am I providing my horse enough lysine? Because without that specific amino acid, I can't do anything with the other proteins.
Because amino acids are the building blocks for proteins.
Correct, that's right.
So therefore, at that point, you need to make sure you have those in order to
And Narita Richards, who was here before, has a, it's not, maybe it's Legos, where she tells you to build it like a protein tower, but then she doesn't give you the one color that you need. And so you quickly learn that, oh, that's lysine. If you don't have it, you can't build it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I've seen people do it with like necklaces, like make a necklace, and every fifth one needs to be like a green bead, but then they don't give you any green beads. And you're like, well, I can't make it.
So you need that in order to keep going.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So no real reason to be super concerned
about
overfeeding.
Not that big of a deal, yeah.